In this episode, we're going to be talking about minimalism and how you need to have your phone like this in order to be a true minimalist and only have one thing on your home screen. What's up, friends? Welcome to The Beautiful Mess, where we talk about tools and tactics to improve your life. I'm going to just roll with that. It just naturally roll off the tongue, and this is The Beautiful Mess anyway, so it's going to be messy. Just like life, you have experiences where things don't always go the way you planned, and what I'm realizing about this podcast is that I'm gravitating towards a couple topics. Minimalism is one, another is technology, and then the third is productivity. That's another one. And also just like living an intentional life with meaning and the importance of beauty and that, experiencing nature in our lives. But today I thought we'd dive a little bit further into minimalism. I recently started, it's probably hard to see, but on my phone here, if you're watching this episode, I've got my phone, and basically there's only one thing on the screen. And if you're interested in getting your phone like this, I'm going to try to leave a link to the Peter McKinnon YouTube video that kind of inspired this. And this also kind of, I don't think Peter McKinnon talked about this necessarily, but I believe this idea kind of goes back to Atomic Habits, where, the things that are important, you want to make easy and effortless for you to just like get started, reduce the friction. Whereas those things that are like addictive and, it just doesn't bring you fulfillment in life, you want to hide it. You want to make it harder to do. And so that's kind of what I've been trying. I've deleted social media apps and then only installed them when I felt like there was an important thing for me to do, like posting something, sharing something with y'all. So that's kind of been something I've been experimenting with. Who knows whether or not I'll stick with it. But right now, I think the neat thing is it makes you reevaluate what's important. And that ties into our topic of today. What is minimalism and how it can be applied to our lives? How do you think like a minimalist? And basically why you might want to, diving into basically the minimalist mindset in the midst of all this messiness. I'm sure you've heard about Twitter and Elon Musk, and it's just like insane, like how many things are happening in the world. And what I've realized personally is with many things that are going on, there's not much you can do about it. At least like the noise that you hear on social media, the news, there's not much you can do about it. So what I like to do is start by thinking about what can I do within like my circle, my family, my friends, those that I interact on a regular basis. What are the little things that I can do to help somebody, maybe? And I think that's the true sense of being a minimalist, is kind of understanding what power you have as an individual to do good in the world, and also reducing the number of things for the purpose of living a more meaningful and fulfilling life. It's not just about getting rid of 1,000 things so that you can say that you've got the fewest things to live in, live with. Maybe that is for you, but to be honest, you just need to it's a beautiful simplicity of life, because when we have too many things, when we're too worried about getting the latest thing, or maybe getting the right clothes to fit in, it's just like it can bog you down. And is that the most important thing? I think, you think about those that live very simply, whether they intend to or not. I think there's a beauty in living simply for those that can, and having that intentionality behind what you let into your life And so I thought we'd dive into some of the things that, as a minimalist, I found helpful. And right off the bat, kind of we alluded to a little bit, but like, don't buy things that you don't use. And this actually, I recently came across this thanks to YNAB. And if you're looking for a budgeting app, I'd recommend it. However, I just recently, I'll be completely honest, I canceled it because right now, I'm just looking for ways to save money and be more intentional. I just haven't used it as much as I have in the past. That said, for someone first starting out, or maybe you have a certain situation that you need to be budgeting your money and being intentional, I highly recommend YNAB, and because the philosophy behind the app is very important. But it goes back to this idea, like as a minimalist, I just didn't realize, right now in my life, it wasn't giving me value. And so it was something that was, taking away not only my money, you have to pay for it, but also my time, because it's something that it's another thing to maintain, to look at. And, we sometimes the good things like that can be very helpful for certain individuals, whereas maybe it's served its purpose. And now that you know how to, live within your means, and be wise with your money, you can maybe have a little less, structure. Not to say that, I probably will try to be conscientious of where money's being spent. Absolutely. But at the same time, like, I don't think it's serving as much of a purpose as it once did, like when I was first using it years ago. So basically looking at what are you currently subscribed to, whether that's a app like YNAB, maybe it's a subscription to Netflix, to Amazon, to, like all of these little things that like modern society kind of says like, oh, this is a good thing, you should have it. But like in reality, does it bring you fulfillment? Or would your time and money be better spent? One thing that's been really impactful to me, I just had my 1-year anniversary of doing CrossFit. And if I hadn't set aside like the time and energy to do that, I could have just kept on, doing other things. But what I realized that it was worth the investment. And I've fallen off the bandwagon a couple times. It's a beautiful mess here, so I'll fully admit it. But the important thing is getting back up when you fall down. And so like that happened recently. I just finally got back into the gym after, it's just been crazy. The kids have been sick here and there, but it's been so good to get back into the gym. And, you have to get, the more you give, the more you get in return. And so it's so true. And I've really enjoyed my time. So yeah, the point here is don't pay for stuff you don't use. So like evaluate what are the things that you're spending your time and your energy, and evaluate it. But that's not all. Obviously, that's important to eliminate those things that you don't need. But more importantly, you need to prioritize what is valuable. Identify like what is it right now in your life. Don't just make business goals or career goals, but like think about your entire life and what do you want to be remembered as, and kind of write your story, and then realize what do you have to do on a daily basis to get to that point, kind of like reverse engineer it. And one thing that I found super helpful from Javier from the Finisher Secrets, he talked about this where you identify the obstacles to your goal. And once you identify those obstacles, then you're going to kind of write out some solutions to those. And it'll help you because then you'll be more conscientious of like those things that will get in your way. And so again, like just being a minimalist can be very helpful in identifying what is important and eliminating those things that are pulling you in various directions. Simplify life. Make sure that you're getting enough sleep at night. It's the simple things. Try to be consistent with your sleep. I've been doing that pretty decently. I've done interesting things. Like I've tried This was something I learned on like a webinar somewhere. Is like somebody had it where like their Wi-Fi automatically shuts off. I think, you can get like a timer for your outlet. I actually went into the Wi-Fi router and I have it like programmed where it's just like it turns off after a certain time. And I can go back in there and like add some more time or whatever. But I think that reality of just like there's like a shutdown. It's like, okay, it's time to cut off for the night. It's because I know that I will have a better day tomorrow if I make this decision now. And it's hard sometimes because like, sometimes you get in that habit of like, oh, just one more thing. I just need to look up this one more thing. But there's always one more thing, and I think that's the important thing of life is like identifying what's important and carving out the time blocking, block out the time for those most important things. Put those in your calendar first. Look at your schedule and see, hey, what does the ideal week look like? What are the habits of the person that I want to become? What does that look like? And simplify it. Be a minimalist with the number of habits that you pick. Maybe it's getting out to nature, going out for a walk. I've recently done that with my kids, and like it is so powerful. Just like being in nature, like the quiet, the wind. Right now it's really beautiful in Chattanooga, and just like being there in nature as the leaves die. It's so beautiful. Fall, good old fall. It's the best season. It's the best season. Anyways, and then also like part of the like prioritizing is like designing your life. Like, what do you want your life to look like? Again, like spend time in silence to get your priorities straight. I go back to people like Mr. Rogers, and he talked about the importance of silence and how he would wake up early in the morning and spend time kind of in quiet. And so like, I think we've lost that, oftentimes we're like in a noisy environment. And so I've been trying to carve out a little time to kind of reflect and see where things are going and like say, hey, like this is really good right now. Like I'm loving, doing things like the podcast and YouTube. And what can I do to kind of like foster that? Or maybe like I'm starting to realize, hey, like maybe I need to start focusing on these things instead. So it helps to have that quiet because they say basically in boredom, there's many benefits to it. So I encourage you to spend time just sitting quietly. And like, it might get awkward the first 5-10 minutes, but sit with it for a while. And hopefully it'll get better. And the other aspect is like, just thinking about like, as a designer, like I've designed websites and I do graphic design. One thing that I like to keep in mind is how can I make this the simplest? I think about the user experience a lot. Like I'm a big fan of like UX, UI design, and like, how can I make the experience of the user, one, obvious? Like if you go to a website and you don't know what you're supposed to do, that's a bad sign. And so I like to make what they call to actions. What is it that I want you to do? So like an example, I'm just going to plug this right now because I'm giving an example. I might ask you to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, you name it. We're out on those platforms. But that is an example of me saying like, hey, you're listening to this podcast. If you find it valuable, let's connect. Let's, have you be more than just a passerby on this web journey. And so when someone lands on a landing page, do I want you to input your email address so I can share important information to you? Do I want you to watch a video so that you'll learn more about my organization? Basically guiding the viewer to experience things that, you want them to do. Like that, hopefully in a good way, obviously, but guiding them along the journey so that it's simple. You think about Google and Apple, all of their designs are often simple. It's not like cluttered with 1,000 different things. It's very simple interface so that, like if I click this icon, I'm going to be here. And if I click this, then I'm going to go there. And there's like a hierarchy. And so like in designing your life, think about like the hierarchy. What's most important? What buttons should you make front and foremost? Your call to actions. What are those things that you have a passion for, that you want to emphasize in your life? Put those things first. They have what they call the hero section of a website. And that's the thing that you land on. And, what is your hero page for your life? What is that thing that you want people to see as soon as they land on your life website? Let's just say, like, consider, what do you want front and foremost for those around you, so that they know that you're about this and that and not about this other thing. Defining who you are, because oftentimes simpler is better. I love this idea from Dieter Rams, less but better. He's a fantastic designer, very minimalistic in his designs, and he's definitely someone that's worth checking out. He was the one that kind of inspired people like Johnny Ives, who helped make a lot of Apple's designs. So really fascinating stuff. But yeah, be a minimalist with your life. Figure out ways that you can reduce the friction in your life so that what's most important to you is obvious to those around you, and that you can help those by living more simply and reducing this, take away those stuff that you don't use, like don't pay for stuff that you don't use, and simplify your life. Life is messy, yes, but the important thing is to realize is that there's certain things within your control that you are capable of doing, and that by simplifying your life, you will be able to make a better impact, because you will not be pulled in 1,000 different directions. I love this drawing from Essentialism, where they have one circle where their energy is dissipating in all these different directions, but they're very small. Like the arrows go only about this far off the circle, whereas there's another one with just like one line and it goes very far. So do you want to be the person that's focused and with purpose and intensity of life? Or do you want to be the person running like a chicken without its head, pulled in many different directions, everyone asking for your attention, for your time, and you somewhat giving it here, somewhat giving it there, but honestly, you're just kind of not holding on to it because you feel like you're not in control. Not in the sense of like ultimate control, because let's be real, life has a lot of, it's a mixture of both order and chaos and everywhere in between. And so we just navigate that. It's like you got a boat and the sea does what it does, it's going to rock your boat one way or another. But what you do within the boat matters. You can't do anything outside of it. Maybe there's something completely different going on way out there, but you can't do anything about that. But what you can control is right in front of you. What will you do with the next hour that you have? That's the next thing I want you to decide. Maybe this next hour is a game changer for you. Maybe you take this time to really define, sit in quiet and realize what's important to you right now, or maybe what's stressing you out doesn't need to be there. Or is there something that you need to address that you haven't addressed yet? Maybe it's time to Because sometimes we like to numb things. We like to bury something deep down and not address it. But maybe today it's the day you realize, hey, it's time for me to call somebody up or to start something new, exciting. This is your life. What are you going to do about it? So, hope all of you are doing well. If you enjoy the podcast, be sure to rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And until next time, my friends, stay messy.